Hey guys, I'm back with Luke Spencer from Clackamas River Outfitters. Thanks for having me.
You're welcome. Welcome back.
It's part 2 to the interview series with Luke. It's been a little bit, but I can't wait to talk about kayaking with you.
Looking forward to it.
I remember last time you were kind of like, let's end it off and like do kayaking next part. So yeah, like to start off with, how did you start kayaking?
Yeah, so my start to kayaking is pretty grassroots. I basically hopped in a cellular Tahiti, you know, the little yellow, cheap kind of ones that maybe a little before your time.
Maybe. I don't think I've heard of those.
Yeah, you know, like those Intex ones that people.
Those.
So like the better version of something like that. So I had a girlfriend at the time. Her stepdad had a couple of them. We grabbed some. We went to the Upper Clack, and we decided we would kayak in those down the Upper Clack.
Yeah, that sounds interesting.
Not such a great idea. We didn't really know what we were doing. I wouldn't recommend it. You know, if you're looking to get started, I would find a friend that has some experience that wants to help teach you, or find an outfitter or an instructor that can, you know, help you learn in a more safe way. But that was my first experience. I didn't really have friends that were kayakers back in the day. And the interesting part to that, the ironic part, is that day on the river, I saw some folks in some Riken inflatable kayaks.
Oh, I love Rikens. They've been around a while.
And those were like some of the high-end, like, sweet kayaks back in the day. And I saw that and I was like, dang, I really need one of those. So I did a little research online, and Andean backs came up. And so I went down there and talked to who eventually was a coworker and friend of mine, Dan, who ran the rafting department down there at Andean Backs. He said, "Oh, go to the Sportsman's Show and you can check out all the kayaks that we have." And I went down there and scoped a bunch out, and there he introduced me to the Upper Clackamas Whitewater Festival, and he said, "Oh, come out to the Whitewater Festival. We'll be there, and you can demo some boats out," and so on and so on. So I went out there that season. I think the Sportsman Show is in late winter, and then, you know, come May, I was still real into it, and so went up to the Whitewater Festival and bought myself a Sotar inflatable kayak. So a much better upgrade from what I started with.
Yeah.
I got a dry suit. And just kind of got gung-ho into it, started paddling, found a friend that I met down at Andean Backs, Troy, who later became a raft business partner of mine for a company called Horizon Sport Adventures that we used to run on the Deschutes and the Mackenzie.
That sounds fun.
Yeah, it was a super good time, and we just kind of, you know, went from there. I ended up working at Andean Backs, got a job there, worked there for 6 years, ended up working at another kayak shop in Portland, Next Adventure. And it just all kind of snowballed.
Yeah, like, I mean, that seems like a pretty interesting start to kayaking. I mean, personally, I started by sitting in a raft as a very young child.
Well, I did go on a couple family rafting trips, but my parents weren't really big into rafting, just like on vacation going rafting.
Yeah. For me, my start was, oh hey, my parents go rafting. Now I sit in the front of our Sotar raft, and then that snowballed for me into, okay, now I'm gonna kind of participate. I'm gonna try and row in the flat spots, and I wanna participate more. And over time, like, eventually, for like one of my earlier birthdays, when I was still pretty young, I got a Spud from Air. My dad got it. It just been launched. It was pretty difficult for him to get one, but he managed to get one for a pretty good deal, and that was my first personal kayak. Like, we had the Air Lynx before that, but that was a little bit big for me. So I got the Spud for my birthday. And yeah, it was like, I remember I had some crazy adventures in that thing. I hit Carnivore on the upper Sandy M and launched right out the back of it. Hit what I like to call a little muncher. It's a rapid, it's a real simple rapid with a kind of a big hole. It's just a little ways after Carnivore on the upper Sandy M. And I named it Little Muncher because it likes to munch kayaks. As it turns out,
Spuds, anyways.
I've heard some stories of bigger kayaks getting eaten by that hole.
Just giving you a hard time.
Yeah. But yeah, I think I had gone in it once and I made it out because someone bumped me out with their kayak.
Oh, that was nice of them. Did they end up in the hole?
They made it out, but
Oh,
I had a little bit. Oh, hey, I can do this again, and then I tried to do it again, and then I decided. Well, actually, the rapid decided, hey, you ain't gonna do this again successfully right now, and so I'm like, oh, now I'm swimming, and I literally I think my grandpa, my dad, my sister, were in our big old Sotar raft, just paddle rafting in front of me, and I literally just swam up to them and like, hey, can I have some help? And but yeah, that was kind of like I was kind of just doing easy stuff like the upper Santiam, the lower Santiam, the lower Clackamas. That's the sort of stuff I was dealing with, and so that's kind of how I started my kayaking. I'd always kind of been rafting a little bit, like helping row and stuff, and doing like a little bit of paddle rafting. But I think fairly recently, like it's evolved for me. Like I did a lot of rowing over time. Like I got my own raft. I had a 10.5 foot Storm from Rocky Mountain Rafts, and we got a custom frame from DRL River Gypsies, Dusty's River Logistics. He made a frame for it, and I did like the Grand Run at 16,000 CFS. It was like literally flood stage for that river, and I did it in there with gear and stuff, and like that was insane for me. And then I was like, okay, my parents were like, okay, kind of like I kind of want a bigger boat. They kind of like agreed that I should get a bigger boat, and so we got our Super Puma, also from DRL River Gypsies, and with that came a new frame as well, and that luckily that frame can also fit on the smaller boat because we still have it. We still have the other frame though. But yeah, like a lot of more rowing, and then recently, like I think beginning of 2024, I think it was the New Year's Day trip is when I first was like, I was in my raft. My dray suit sadly broke, but then I had we ended up fixing it. My dad patched it up for me, because he's really good at that. And I was like, okay, I'm gonna actually kayak the Santiam, or not the Santiam, the Sandy. And so I'm like, okay, I want to do this. And then my dad was like, okay, let's do this. And then so a little while later, like sometime, I think it was in February, we took our kayaks and stuff to the Sandy, and I kayaked it, and that was kind of the start of my journey of doing a little bit harder stuff in my kayak, because before that I wouldn't have even thought about doing the Clackamas. Like the upper Clackamas was insane to me. I was like, no way. I had done the upper Clackamas in my raft before, like rowing it. But that's about it. Like I was nervous starting that in my raft, and now I was like, okay, I've done the Sandy in my kayak. I want to do this. By the way, my kayak is my Air Lynx, for a little bit more context. And I kayaked the Upper Clackamas because of that. And ever since then, I've kayaked the Upper Clackamas lots of times. As you've seen, I love kayaking this now, and that was all opened up because I tried something new. And so I've been able to kind of test my abilities and kind of start to figure out how I can evolve in boating. And I've started learning hard shelling kind of as well, and it's been a really cool journey. It's kind of my story of how I've boated.
Yeah.
So, yes. You mentioned like the Clackamas, like the Upper Clackamas Whitewater Festival. How does that evolve for you, like participating in that?
Yeah. Well, yeah. So the Upper Clackamas Whitewater Festival, we now call it the Clack Fest. Just easier, shorter.
Yeah.
Easier coming off the tongue there. But yeah, I first competed in that as a hard sheller. Bob Mosier asked me. I was coming out and just enjoying the festival, and it was at that time mostly inflatable boats. They didn't actually have participation from hard shell kayakers back then. This was probably 15 maybe more years ago.
That's a while back, honestly.
Yeah.
You started boating that about the time I started existing.
Very well, I guess we're different generation, but
yeah.
Similar interest.
Yeah.
I was a hard sheller at the time. Prior to that, I was an inflatable boater, so I was participating as an inflatable kayaker, rafter, that sort of thing. But then I kind of transitioned into hard shelling, and Bob Mosier asked me if I would participate in the first ever hard shell kayak event, and they would add it in, and I would be the sole hard shell boater, because at the time hard shellers were kind of like, we don't do that, that's not our place.
Yeah.
We have these other events that we do. And so I did like a demonstration, and it was like a freestyle downriver where you would do tricks as you went down the river.
That sounds really cool.
Yeah, it was really fun. So I did that, and that evolved to just more hard shellers started coming out there, and it's kind of evolved into what it is now. There's a couple hard shell events. There's IK, pack raft, all sorts of single craft paddleboarding.
Yeah, personally, I know the Carnage, like the Confidence and Carnage or whatever it's called.
Yeah.
I've seen that, and I've participated in that in my inflatable kayak. But there's like a lot of hard shellers I've seen out there, and it's really cool. Luckily, I can keep up with them for the most part.
Yeah, the Carnage and Confidence run is cool. The Carnage run is like the class 3 or class 3-4 intermediate advanced section on the Clackamas, kind of the classic stretch, and then the Confidence stretch is below that, and so that's better for folks that are getting into it. But yeah, that's every Wednesday. The name came up. It was an every Wednesday evening at 5 o'clock thing, and after work in the summer sort of thing. And they call it the Carnage Run because it's a time when a lot of people will step up and kind of be paddling with their friends, maybe pushing the limits a little bit. And often when you're doing that, you swim or come out of your boat, and we refer to that as Carnage. And so but there was often a lot of that in the summer with newer boaters on the run, and so it kind of got that name, the Carnage Run, the Confidence Run. I don't know when it started, but for those folks that didn't want to go on the Carnage, it was the Confidence stretch. So starting where we took out for the Carnage Run was the start of like the Confidence Run. So
I remember. So Caden Hansen, one of my good friends, mostly hard sheller. Well, I met him on Instagram, and he went to my school. Now he's up in college, doing college stuff. But when last year, middle of April, I recognized oh hey, he boats too, and I immediately clicked just messaging on Instagram, and so that evolved to oh hey, we should boat sometime, to oh hey, here's the Carnage and Confidence Run. You want to go kayaking with me? I'm like, sure. So I literally met him the night before. I loaded some gear up into his truck and put his boat in his truck and whatnot. And the next day, immediately after school, he picked me up, went to Subway, grabbed my dinner was literally a Subway sandwich. Quite good dinner, honestly. I like that. Immediately just went up. The second time I met him, we were literally on the way up to go do this. My parents, they agreed to it. They just stayed home. I literally just went up with them. There were some other guys, and it was my first experience with the Carnage and Confidence Run. And it was very fun, and it was very inviting to me. It was a very comfortable way for me to get out there and kind of become my own person a little bit more, and really experience a little bit more of a different group of people that I normally don't hang out with in the boating world. Even in the river at Sundays, they're hardshell kayakers and inflatable kayakers, they go, but I never really get a click with them because I'm always hanging out with other people. But this was a very inviting scenario. Even just the fact that I was an inflatable kayaker with a bunch of hardshell kayakers, it was really cool. Got to joke around with stuff. It was really good thing. I really enjoyed it, and I've gone to a few more after that, and it's always been super fun for me.
Yeah.
So
I remember when the Carnage Run started, which was probably about 15, 20 maybe years ago, and it's been going on ever since. So that's kind of cool, and it, still happens. It'll be going on this summer. So if you guys are out in the Portland area and you want to come out and paddle in the summer, and you're not headed to the White Salmon or something, you come out to the Upper Clackamas and do the Carnage Run with us. Yeah,
it's a very fun thing. And if you boat out in fall and winter and stuff and spring, and you're in the same area, the Portland area, go to River at Sunday. My dad sets it up kind of on Facebook and stuff. So just kind of look out for that if you...
Yeah, every third Sunday of the month.
Yep.
Between basically, December and May, I think?
Something like that. Yeah. I think the last one's in March or April. I can't remember.
I think it's April, and then May is the Clack Fest, so I think that's
that's the end of
April, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's good. People come from all over, down south, Medford, Eugene, Bend, all over. Yeah.
I've heard some people have come out here for a long ways. There's a whole thing about that, isn't there?
Yeah, when you get it up on the webs early and people can count on something happening, they're more likely to plan to be there.
Yeah. I know it's been really fun for me. Like, I really like coming out here and being like, oh, hey, like, there's a lot of people that I've met before, and then there's people that are new to this, and just being able to meet different people, especially just coming to your shop and just seeing how many people just hang out here. It's a very cool thing.
More hard sellers too lately.
I really like the community it brings.
Yeah, it's good folks. Yeah, we meet here at 10 at Clackamas River Outfitters. 10 a.m. third Sunday. And then depending on the water level, some folks will go to the top and do 3 links or sandstone bridge down, and other people will put in at Moore Creek. Or a hole in the wall and go down to Moore Creek. Yeah,
it's a very fun thing. I really like being able to hang out with people and whatnot.
Yeah, it's a good social time gathering of the river community.
So, what other boating events have you been a part of?
Oh yeah, so I used to do race, more racing like Smith Fest. I do race with the ORT. It sounds like maybe you're gonna do the youth, potentially the youth ORT thing. We'll see what happens.
I will probably doing that, and I'll probably try and record that, and it'll probably be a thing on my channel soon.
Yeah. Nice.
No guarantees for anything, but there's stuff going on. There's stuff in the planning. There's a bunch of things in the works, and
other events that I've done, mostly, West Coast, west of the Rockies, but Burt Ranch Gorge Fest. The Smith River Festival, Boatsmith, the Cal Salmon race, the Oregon Cup when it was happening, the Northwest Creeking Comp, down at Gore Fest. Just a variety of different races. I don't get to do it as much now because I'm a little tied up with the business, but I still like to, even at the Clack Fest, which myself and other folks organize. I still race at the Clack Fest and try to keep up with the young kids these days.
Well, what is some sort of crazy story got boating? Like, is there ever been a time you've a boat's popped or broken a kayak, or what crazy stuff have you gotten into before?
Yeah, so we a couple things come to mind. One in particular is a group of us kind of explored Fly Creek. Fly Creek is a tributary to Canyon Creek, Washington, so it's a pretty famous Class 4 or 5 stretch that people run outside of Battleground. And Fly Creek comes in right where people put in for Canyon Creek, and you can only get in there when the gate is open, which is hunting season, so that's in November. And so in November, the light is short and it's dark by 4:45, 5 o'clock, and that run is pretty difficult. It's like Class 5, we just call it Class 5 for all extensive purposes. With some Class 6, some unrunnable waterfalls, some portages, and so we ended up not getting through the whole run in time. And I've been in twice. On the first attempt at Fly Creek, we ended up not getting all the way down the run. It's getting dark. We've never been on the run. We don't really know how far we are. We know we're not too far from the end, but there's still some pretty major rapids in front of us to navigate, and it just wasn't going to be possible in the dark. So there was a group of about 4 of us. We all agreed that we're gonna hike out. There was some discussion. Somebody wanted to sleep overnight. I didn't. It was cold. It's November. Wet, dry suit, sweaty. Not a great idea. Then they're talking about, we leave boats and we come back for them. But the group kind of decided wasn't a good idea to sleep there. It wasn't a good idea to leave boats. We were going to hike our boats out and basically call it a day. So we did. We started hiking out. It was dark. A lot of people were wondering where we were. They knew we were on an exploratory run, and so it was cause for concern from family, friends, and but luckily we did make it out, and so after that kind of debacle, so we did end up going back in the next day, got our gear, paddled out. We only had one big rapid below us, and the rest of it was Class 3, 4, and we were able to get out of there. The second time we went in, we got about to the same place, and we knew how far we needed to go. There was a group of 4 of us. The group split on a portage, which is never a good idea.
Oof.
Everybody should always stay
Yeah.
together.
Yeah,
But there's-
safety in numbers, especially on the water. So guys, if you ever think about boating solo, please don't. Just go with the group. Find some good people that are trustworthy, and like find some people, but make sure they're safe and knowledgeable, and go boat with them if they want to go boat with you. But always take the safe way. Just like
always come back for your gear.
yeah, be smart about when you do it. Research stuff. Make sure you know what you're doing. Make sure you go with people that know what they're doing, and everything will be better that way. So
yeah, so the group of 4, we're at a portage. It was a big left-hand turn, and you can basically, portage straight across, straight through the turn. You don't follow the river. It's quite a bit longer, and there's like a plateau. You just walk across the plateau, and you put back in, down a ways. But to do that, you have to skip a waterfall. And the 2 other guys that were with us said, oh no, we want to run the waterfall, then we'll get out and we'll portage at river level. Well, below that is a lot of big boulder gardens.
Dude.
And so they decided it was worth it to run the waterfall and portage the boulder gardens. But portaging at river level, sometimes when you have large boulders and things like that, it can take a lot more time. And time was of the essence, because we were late in the day, and we didn't want to end up having the same problem we had last time, which was it was dark and we couldn't go any further. So they decided to go their way. We decided to go our way. In retrospect, bad choice. Everybody should have agreed to go one way or the other. We knew we had been there before. The other 2 had not. So ideally, they would have gone with our experience and said, "Look, we're going to portage with these guys." But that didn't happen. We split up. Myself and the other guy got to the bottom. And there was no other. The other 2 were not there.
Yeah.
Meanwhile, it's about 4:30-ish or 4:20, and we know it's dark at 5, and we still have probably 20-30 minutes to go. Not too hard or whitewater, but still in dark it's going to be very difficult. So, we're just watching our watches. At that point in time, people still wore watches. Phones were less of a thing, but. So we said, okay, we'll wait till said time. If they don't show up, we got to go because we can't.
Yeah.
Somebody needs to get to the bottom, right? So we waited and waited. The amount of time we gave them, that time came. We said, okay, sorry, guys, we got to go. Of course, we were a little frustrated and also, concerned for them since they hadn't shown back up. And so we took off, having not reconnect with those guys. We paddled through one rapid at the very bottom in the dark, but made it to the takeout, and we're very happy to be there, safe and sound. Meanwhile, the other 2 were not around. So we were like, okay. So we get changed, we get in our car, and we drive back up the road to see if we can locate our friends. There is... down on that bottom last mile or 2-mile section, there's a bridge. It's probably 150 feet above the river, and there's kind of a class 3-4 rapid right there. And we figured that was a good place to stop and maybe see if we saw anybody. Not that we could, because it was dark. And so we stopped at that bridge, and we heard voices, and we're like, I think that our friends are down there on the river. Sure enough, they had got to basically where the bridge was, ironically, because any other place in the river on that lower stretch on the way out of the run there, we would not have seen them. That was literally the only place that we could see the river from the road, or know the river was below us from the road, given that it was dark. And so we hollered at them, they hollered at us. They eventually made their way up to the bridge. We were reunited, and all's well that ends well. But that was a pretty crazy, that run. It's long, it's hard, a lot of portaging, and so that was our second attempt to complete it, which 2 of us did, 2 of us didn't. But I guess the better thing is that everybody was safe.
Yeah.
I've also run quite a few waterfalls, and something that I've run an unnamed dam in the vicinity of this area that I can't really talk about, but some people might have seen or know about it if they've followed some of the stunts that I've done in the past. And that is illegal at this point.
Yeah.
I think at one point it was not. It is now. So I wouldn't suggest going over large man-made concrete structures. They're generally no-nos, and certainly dams are generally off limits to paddlers. So.
Yeah. So guys, just make sure you do legal stuff, please.
Yeah. So.
Be smart when you're doing this stuff. Whitewater is dangerous, and make sure you wear life jackets and helmets and good shoes. Which, speaking of, what are some precautions you take when hard shelling and inflatable kayaking and stuff like that? What are some things you do to stay safe?
Yeah, so things to do to keep in mind so you're as safe as possible on the river is being prepared for the conditions. So summer, winter, having the right gear on. I will say one thing I would suggest, and I've made a promise to myself, is if you're running hard whitewater, say class 4 or 5, where you might be in a rescue situation where if a paddler was pinned or a boat was pinned or some kind of gear that was needed to make your way down the river is stuck in the river, wearing a dry suit always is a good idea, right? Because if your buddy's stuck in the river pinned in his boat and you are in shorts, the river, even in the Northwest and in other places, is different. You're paddling in Mexico or warmer water areas, maybe not as big of a problem. But if you're trying to do in-water rescue, you're not a good member of that rescue team if you don't have the right gear on.
Yeah.
And if you're not carrying the right gear. So, a dry suit, neoprene gloves if it's cold water, prusik cord for making brakes and pulleys and things like that.
Yeah, and even the basic stuff like making sure you have a good spray skirt and a good life jacket and a good helmet.
Yeah, food, some snacks. So
snacks
so you don't get hangry. Water, so you're not dehydrated. And you can make good decisions.
Yeah, one of the
energy up.
Some of the important things. Just having some snacks and water, especially water. It's very important. At least have some sort of way to safely drink water, even if you don't have a water bottle. Get a life straw or something. So you can stay hydrated because it's very important.
Duct tape is a nice thing to have. I like one trick that I like, and I see people do it. Sometimes they put duct tape around the middle of the shaft of their paddle, and that often serves the purpose of knowing where their hand is.
Yeah.
But if you wrap enough of it around there and you get a little thick area there of tape, you can unwrap usually the top 1 or 2 rolls, and those pieces, if you do it carefully, when you put it on, those other pieces below that can work in an emergency to help repair gear of some sort.
Yeah.
And that can be pretty crucial if you're in areas where it's inaccessible to a road or something of that nature.
Yeah, I think that's probably something I'm gonna try and implement myself because I know I have a roll of Gorilla Tape, and I think it'd be cool to make sure I have that. I could definitely use something like that, and that could help me out because I know I like to have tape, and I know it's saved our butts before. We had to fix a paddle that broke on I can't remember what stretch of river, but I think it probably the lower Clackamas, and we had a hard sheller who broke paddle. By his kayak literally landed on his paddle and snapped his paddle in half. On a rapid, and we had to fix it. I had some yellow duct tape, coincidentally from Andy and Bax, and I had it in my dry box, and we got a stick. We shoved a stick in his paddle, and we taped it right up, and it saved it. And not only that, but it was yellow, and so he lost it later, and it helped me pinpoint exactly where his paddle was. We were on this rapid. There was an island kind of in the middle, just a gravel bar in the middle, and then there was a clay wall, some clay rocks and stuff on the other side. He flipped at the beginning. His paddle, he swam with his boat and paddle kind of along the edge where the current wanted to take him, and his paddle I kind of noticed his paddle wasn't there after a minute, but I helped him and his boat get to shore, and then I was like, oh, there's no paddle, and I'm pretty sure I know where it is, and I pretty much exactly pinpointed exactly where it was, and the tape helped that because it was a black paddle with yellow tape on it. I immediately was like, okay, I see it. So I paddled up, kind of went down the current, got to the island, walked up the small island like gravel bar, and then I immediately just went straight for the paddle in my boat, and I grabbed the paddle and went back over to the bank. And yeah, it helped immensely to have some tape with me.
Nice.
And I know tape is very useful to have, especially on overnight trips. I always make sure I have tape, because normally on overnight trips I bring a big dry box.
Yeah.
So
yeah, I mean, if you're an inflatable kayaker, having like some kind of repair tape, whether it's like tenacity tape or what's the clear stuff that they sell with like the air.
Flex tape.
Well, there's a bunch of different repair tapes out there, but having something that works for your boat, if you're an inflatable boater, is nice to have.
Making sure you have repair gear is very helpful. Also, a first aid kit.
First aid kits are great. If you're a hard sheller, having a cork, if you lose a drain plug.
That's a smart idea.
Yeah, so like a wine cork, and you can always, if you need to, you can change the diameter by cutting a little off, but you can push it into your drain plug hole, and you can kind of screw it down in there, and then as it gets wet, it actually expands and it will seal that hole up. But if you end up having a hole in the back of your boat and you have nothing to plug that hole, like I've seen people just shove wood in there or whatever, but it doesn't really do the same job.
Having like a multi-tool that has some basic tools that can help, like having a knife in
if you're carrying a throw bag or any type of rope, you should always have a knife on you.
Yeah, or like having a multi-tool like a girder or a Leatherman, having something that has a bunch of different tools like a screwdriver and a saw and a knife, and like having a serrated blade is good for like sawing some wood if you really need to like cut something down, or just having some generally good tools. Even something small like a Swiss Army knife, like one of those really small ones, got some tweezers and like a toothpick and like a few small knives and some scissors. Like that's helpful. Just having some tools, some safety equipment, making sure you have the proper gear, like possibly having a waterproof case that's properly waterproof around your phone can also help. I know I have one.
I got one
that works. I've used my waterproof case.
This goes on the river with me, and
I've used my waterproof case and I've gone for swims with it. So
if you're gonna take pictures on the river, you better have it clipped into your life jacket. Yeah. If you drop it.
Yeah. I remember how nerve-wracking it is to have a phone out in a cataract.
Yeah.
That makes me nervous.
Yeah.
Because one wrong slip and it goes don't.
Yep, I've lost quite a few.
We've had friends that have lost a phone to the Great Salmon River.
Yeah.
Over in like Idaho, and also that river has swallowed countless walkie-talkies of mine.
Yeah.
My dad has bought me multiple replacement walkie-talkies because he's been partially part of the cause in losing a few to the river, both in the boat and out of the boat.
Yeah.
So and then like walkie-talkies are a good thing to just kind of keep in a dry box if you're doing something. Like an overnight trip, if you have to do some sort of rescue, having them is really good, especially type that like you can communicate with different walkie-talkies. I have some better ones now, both my dad and mom, and then I also have some really good quality walkie-talkies. They have like at the most they have 38-mile range, which is insane. That's a lot of distance, and like that's kind of if you were to go up on like a big hill and you can no trees like out in the Deschutes, you could just go for 38 miles range. But it's also got 16 and like 8 miles, like just depending. But making sure you're not gonna need them all the time. Any other things you think you should add about any sort of whitewater adventures you've gone on?
Yeah, I've done some international boating, which I've really enjoyed down in Central America and over in Europe, and it's always fun to immerse yourself into a boating scene where the culture is different, and I think that's a great opportunity for folks, and if they get a chance, I'd highly suggest.
Yeah, I know I've seen some hard shellers like the Zambezi and some other stuff, like doing all sorts of crazy stuff. It always is very interesting.
It's tough to leave this area. We have some of the best boating in the world, and so our expectations are pretty high, and you can spend a lot of time and resources traveling to other places, and it may or may not get what you want. The run may be there, but the water levels may not.
Oregon's got me stuck right here. I like this. I like where I'm at.
In a pretty good spot.
I'm probably not gonna move very far away when I move out. Like I'm gonna stick close to the rivers I know and I like, so I can permanently boat a lot.
Some other like great classic areas for boating, like the Southeast, over in North Carolina, West Virginia area, up north in Washington, and also up in BC and Canada have some amazing boating. I know Colorado has some great seasonal boating. There's a fair amount of boating, or Montana has some good boating. The one thing that is unique and that definitely keeps me here is that we have boating 365 days a year.
Yep.
That's tough to find.
I have gotten a guiding offer when I'm 18 from a raft guiding company over in Montana, which is really cool. That's gonna be an interesting opportunity. I probably won't take it just because it's Montana. I like Montana; it's really beautiful, but I don't think I can move over there permanently. I'm not the type of person that I don't like to just guide a raft. That's a little bit difficult for me. That's not my style, at least currently. Whether or not
maybe that will change.
It totally could change, but
it's pretty fun. I've guided quite a bit and enjoyed the guiding. I mean, you get a variety of clientele, ability levels. You really got to learn how to command your raft and get them to do what you want and not what you don't want them to. And they're putting their life and they're trusting you that you'll get them down the river as safe as possible. So it's a lot of responsibility. So
what types of boat, like if you're just kind of like list off a few boats without getting into too much detail?
Sure.
Like what are some different boats you've owned over time?
Yeah, so I used to paddle for Fluid Kayaks. I think they're still around in South Africa, but I really enjoyed some of their creek boats and river running boats, play boats. I used to paddle. I paddled for Riot for a while. They don't really make hardshell whitewater boats. And currently I really enjoy some of the Zet boats. They're from Europe. I paddle a Soul Glide that I really like.
I think I've seen you.
Yeah. I have a Jackson Rockstar that I really enjoy. It's kind of an older one. I need to upgrade and get something a little bit newer, better outfitting. But I also enjoy other types of whitewater crafts. So I stand-up paddleboard on whitewater and also pack raft.
Yeah, you ever properly do rafting or like catarafting or any of that sort of stuff?
Yeah, I used to row a lot when I worked at Andean Backs. I used to take out a lot of catarafts, and I've even catarafted down like some Class 5 back in the day. I used to love rowing. I still enjoy rowing. We own a 14-foot gear boat, and I'll take that out sometimes. Rowing, I think, is a fabulous thing. It's fun. It's good exercise, and it's a cool perspective, and it's a totally different type of way to get down the river. So it's very unlike any of the other options. Obviously rowing a cataraft and rowing a raft, the techniques are similar, but they perform very differently.
Yeah.
But yeah, I very much enjoy rowing as well, and I'll probably end up doing more of that. As being in a hardshell kayak, it's more and more comfortable for me. So, I also am into surfing and stuff too, and foiling. So
I've seen a little bit about that. You look pretty awesome.
It's pretty fun.
You look good out there doing that stuff.
Yeah, it's a variety.
I've seen some of the stuff you do. I think it's pretty cool.
Yeah, thanks.
So, well, I think that's all we have time for today, guys.
Thanks for showing up.
Thanks for watching, guys. Thanks for watching all the way through. This has been I'm Jacob from Whitewater Adventures. This is Luke Spencer from Clackamas River Outfitters here based in Estacada. Go shop at this shop.
Like this guy's channel. Click the like button wherever it is.
And subscribe and turn on notifications.
Hit the subscribe button wherever it is.
Yeah, I will link his business in the description so you can go check it out. Also, just if you're near Estacada, go buy some disc golf stuff or some other gear. He'll help you get set up with some life jackets and other gear. If you need, as well as he's got some other cool stuff.
Pack raft, river paddleboard, whitewater kayaks, flat water gear. We got. If you're trying to get on the water and you're out in this area, we got you covered. Rentals or for sale.
Yeah, I got my merch store down in the description as well. Go check out all that stuff.
Maybe some collab stuff coming up. We'll see.
Yeah, there's some cool stuff coming. So just hit that notification bell so you can see all the cool stuff I'm about to do. There's a lot of stuff planned and upcoming, so just stick around for some more videos, guys, and that'll be it for this video. Thanks for watching.